Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sampson and Fred Adams with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we have a very, very special treat for you, Michele Fiore. She is a former Nevada Assemblywoman. She's the current City Council of Las Vegas, former Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Las Vegas, and she's a candidate for Nevada's gubernatorial race. Michele, how you doing today, ma'am?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, you guys. I'm excited to be here with you.
Tell us about you.
Well, I'm the mother of two beautiful young ladies that are married with children.
Saw them, beautiful family.
Yes,
beautiful.
yes.
They all got their AKs.
Yeah, they all got their AKs. The grandchildren have, Walters, P-22 Walters, and I have 7 beautiful grandchildren, and I take care of my mom.
Wow.
And my family is, it's amazing. It's really amazing. It's funny because my dad was born and raised in Neucatero in Bari, Italy.
Wow.
And we're getting so much press.
Say that again.
Neucatero, Bari, Italy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where that blood comes from.
Yeah. And so we're getting so much press in Italy, and believe it or not, in China. I mean, a lot.
In China?
In China. Well, I've been there twice.
Really?
I have a lot of Chinese friends. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tell us a little bit more. Come on.
So my family is everything.
Okay.
I'm also your Republican National Committee woman for the state of Nevada.
That's right. You had so many titles. I missed that one.
Because I work hard. I work. Here's the thing: when you're a servant leader and you serve the population and your state and your constituents, you never stop. So you don't clock out at 5.
I had the honor of being there when you announced your candidacy for governor, and all that media was there. I'd be lucky if I get one reporter to show up with a notepad, Fred. She had about, 20 just showed up. How did you do that?
The media, they are my biggest fans. And when I say the media is my biggest fans, because they love to hate me, they just cannot wait to try to do like a gotcha, and she said this and she said that. One of the things is once I say it, I own it. Right. So I ain't taking it back. Right. So I
like that.
Yeah. The bottom line is I am who I am. Right. And the people for the past decade have realized that I stand for them and fight for them. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of candidates and a lot of elected officials that when they're running for office, they pander, they say whatever. I ain't pandering.
Right.
We're going to fight together. Right. We're going to fight for our state. We're going to fight for the people. And we're going to stick together. And the people of Nevada know me for that.
What made you decide to run for governor? Are you termed out of the city council?
No. I'm in my first term. I've got 2 other terms. So if I wanted to stay, I could serve 12 years, a total of 12 years. Mm-hmm. But just as the former Assemblywoman.
And by the way, you're my city council representative, by the way.
Thank you.
And I think you're doing a great job as city council.
Thank you. You didn't bring your documents to shred this morning at our shredding.
I have several shredders in this building.
Okay, good. Yeah. So we do, and as you know, as your councilwoman, we do so many events. Mm-hmm. So this is what made me decide to run for governor. I sat back and I watched everyone get in the governor's race. We did a lot of polling. And when I tell you a lot of polling, we didn't just do a 400 sample, 1,000 sample. The state of Nevada, we're going to have about 235,000 Republican conservative primary voters voting in June. Mm-hmm. So we got a sample, and I'm talking volunteer calling. So and we kept our volunteers even in the dark. We said, listen, we need you to call these numbers. We had like 30 people calling 100 different numbers. Right. We need you to call these numbers, ask, do they support Trump? Do they support the Second Amendment? Do they support critical race theory? Do they support vaccine mandates? Do they, what do they think about this election? Do they think there was fraud? Mm-hmm. So we did our due diligence. And so as the gentlemen in this race were getting in the race and I'm watching the TV ads. And again, they're all, the one TV commercial that I've been watching lately It's just a blatant lie. So as the pandemic has happened, the electeds that literally stood against Governor Sisolak was myself and Mayor Goodman. As electeds, as she's the mayor of our great city of Las Vegas. And I was the mayor pro tem at the time, and we never closed the city down. We never canceled a city council meeting. We never canceled building permits, and we went forth, right? The governor put so much horrific pressure on Metro, on city marshals, on all of the municipalities to go and fine and shut down businesses that were open and just trying to survive, get through the pandemic. And the mayor and I refused. There's another candidate in this race that used his badge and cited a lot of people. And, now meanwhile, he's doing commercials saying, oh, the governor Sisolak has ruined the state. Well, you know what? You helped him.
I don't understand one of your challengers for governor. He wants to have a vaccine mandate for all his officers.
Yeah, how horrible is that?
And I'm saying that's is he a Republican? I'm confused.
So I did check because I was confused.
Is he really?
Too. He's registered.
How long has he been a Republican?
Well, he's been registered Republican for quite some time. But I will tell you, thank goodness Joe and I have a history together. And our history is, as the former Assemblywoman, he would have to send his lobbyist, Chuck Calloway, to come up and testify either in favor or against my Second Amendment bills. And all those votes are coming up too. Like, listen, you've got to get through the Republican primary. You've got to be conservative. You're not going to, put these commercials out there that are just not truthful about what you are, who you are and what you stand for, when your record and your actions speak louder than words. That's another reason why jumping in this race and looking at the 7 men that are in this race and looking at their record.
So you're the only woman in the race right now?
As of now.
Okay.
Yeah. But looking at their record, and it doesn't even matter gender. I mean, who cares? But what matters is doing the right thing for Nevadans and standing up. And one of the greatest things that I am very proud of is my record speaks for itself. I don't have to speak for myself and say, I'm going to fight for you, because I have. I'm the only one in this race that had a red dot on my chest when all the other ones didn't, fighting for Nevadans against the federal government.
Your record does speak for itself. I mean, I've known you ever since you ran your first race.
I know.
When you ran against Kenneth Wagner for Congress to outseat Shelley Berkeley.
And that was all Steve Wynn. That was all a Steve Wynn play. We had the basic state Senate seat wrapped up, and Steve Wynn called me in his office, and boy, that's a whole nother interview for a whole nother day. But so Steve Wynn called me in his office, and I sat with the gentleman that got that super PAC passed. It was in 2010. I met with Governor Robert List for the first time in 2010. This is 11 years ago, a decade ago. And I was new into the political arena. And that really wasn't a very nice thing that had happened.
And you were running for a Senate race.
Yeah, and we had it wrapped up.
And you had it wrapped up. You were going to win, but then when you moved to the congressional,
Steve Wynn asked me to please move over. He spoke with Shelley Berkeley. Him and Shelley were friends. He got her elected. According to Steve Wynn, he got Shelley Berkeley elected back then. He put millions into her race, and he's got to get her unelected because she was going to vote for the Obamacare, and that was going to kill, all of the casinos and all of the things. So he needed to find a female candidate. There were 8 gentlemen in that race too. Ken Wagner, Craig Lake. Craig put like $500,000 of his own money in it. He was young, definitely and still, like, I don't even know where Craig Lake is, but he was a good candidate, and he would make a good candidate today. So and I think that the gentleman in the race did not understand the dynamics behind the scenes, what was happening with Steve Wynn and that congressional race. And so when he asked me to please get in the race, I said, Steve, listen, let's be realistic. At the time I was running for state senate and I had the primary wrapped up. I said, I've got 27,000 in my war chest and Shelley's got 2.7 million in hers. And there's no competition. It's a 100% Democrat district. And he said, no, you have to understand. Don't worry about money. Steve Wynn telling me, don't worry about money. I'll fundraise for you. I'll raise all the money you need. Just start the race. Now, we had 8 weeks to the primary because we already did all of our work for the state senate seat. And, and he put his hand on my neck and he's like, just, trust me. Steve Wynn, trust me, Michele. We've got this. I need you to do this. I need you to withdraw from the state senate, enroll in Congress, and I will make sure you are funded. And there's other things we can do. I can't talk to you about it. It's independent expenditures, but we'll have your fundraiser. You'll do great. All right?
And that's how Elizabeth Halsett won the state senate
So
race.
I would not.
You would have
I
definitely
took
won
Elizabeth
it.
out of AD 13.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Halsett was running for assembly. And I didn't want to give the state senate seat to Dennis Nolan at the time because remember, the reason why I got involved politically as a businesswoman, Dennis Nolan, a sitting Republican state senator, implemented the modified business tax. That's a problem. That was a penalty to employers on every time we hired someone, we had a head tax on the new hires. Now it's a percentage, right, of their payroll. It's kind of like an income tax. It's really not okay. It took me 10 years. And finally, they're now, just this past few months ago, said it's unconstitutional and they're changing things around and they're giving refunds. And but it's been a long fight. So Elizabeth Halsett was running for assembly 13. And I said to her, Elizabeth, I need you out of that race. You're going to be a state senator because I've already locked up 4,400 votes for the primary. I'm going to call them, robocall them, text them, do everything I can to make sure they vote for you. And you're going to withdraw from AD 13. I'm going to withdraw from SD 9. I'm going to enroll in CD 1 and you're going to enroll in SD 9 and we're going to do it together.
I thought that was a bad move, by the way.
Yeah, of course it was a bad move. But you knew because you've been in politics. This was my first rodeo politically, right? And I was trusting the powers to be. Steve Wynn, all his folks. Chris Carr was in the room. There were a lot of folks that made a lot of promises that really horrifically reneged on all the promises and almost bankrupted me on that.
Welcome to politics.
Yeah,
huh?
but I paid all my vendors. I paid all my bills. We ran up a $180,000 bill and I called Steve Wynn on a cell and I said, hey, guys, the invoices are coming in. We've got ground games. We've got, A-frames. We've got mailers going out. We're polling. We're right now in the 5th week in we've spent $180,000. We need that fundraiser because we told them we'd spend $250 and take the primary. You know what Steve Wynn said to me?
What?
On his cell, after he convinced me to get out of that race, he says, Michele, I've decided to go another way.
Should have had everything in writing.
Well, here's the thing. Come to find out, this is what he does. So since then, and let me tell you, so you get to burn me once, right? You get to burn me once. And it was a lesson learned. And then we went on to run for assembly and win it. And I've won 8 races since. So this gubernatorial governor race is my 9th race I'm running in.
I'm excited.
And let me tell you though, as the candidate, you have to be the CEO of your campaign. I have a huge team, and my team is incredible. I have to tell you, they're incredible. And but again, I am data driven, so I want to see the numbers at the end of the day, the calls that we've made, my vote pledges. We're doing vote pledges because I know how many votes I need to get out of the primary, and. We're just letting the boys have a good time right now. But when the fight really begins, we're loaded.
Well, my co-host has a few questions for you. Fred?
Fred, what's your question?
Oh, man. So I'm just going through the history of your life here in Las Vegas in regards to
30
being
years,
a candidate.
That's a long history.
Well, just being a candidate and doing the things that you've done, like being city council, the things that you've created, the issues you've created, and the turmoils that you've created, even the commercial that you created.
I love that commercial.
I do. I like it too. I personally like the firebrand, that you came out with. To me, because be honest with you, I'm a big Trump supporter.
Good.
And I look at it as
2A hat on.
I do, and I just look at it as I would want somebody who, with your spirit, to be fighting for me. Because of the fact that you can't have a weak candidate, fighting against some of these things that we know that are corrupt here in this city. I've grown up here. I've seen the corruption. I know the Good Old Boys Network. I know that they can tear you apart. But some of the things that, like, you're under an FBI investigation.
Really? Have you talked to the FBI?
I have not.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's media. And
Okay.
Yeah, yesterday was on Channel 3. Channel 3 said, "Are you under FBI investigation?" And this is what I say: call the FBI and ask them. Call the FBI and ask them.
Which I would.
Right?
All I'm going to do is put some things out here that that's out
Yeah.
there, and because you're going to have to address them.
I address them every day.
Yeah,
I
and
address
so
them every day.
I just look at it as you might as well.
Yep.
I'll address some of these things,
Yep.
and you just
No, bring it.
tear them
bring
down.
It, bring it forward.
Do you feel that the controversies, are going to support you in regards to like people that know you here versus people that might not know you in Washoe County?
Well, they do know me in Washoe County. See,
Okay.
that's one great thing about being the Republican National Committee woman,
Right.
and one great thing about sticking to my guns since I was elected in
Literally.
2013.
Right.
Right? In Washoe County, in all 17 of our counties, I have toured them. I have been to the Lincoln Day circuits many years.
Okay.
And as the Republican National Committee woman, going up and down this state with our chairman, Michael McDonald, is something that I've done for years and support all of our counties. And so, no, I think you have, like we did a poll, I'm going to tell you, we did a poll, 60,000, responses out of 70% of Republican primary voters, 70 are for Trump. Trump. 30 Republicans, I'm talking Republicans only. Trump. 30% thinks he needs to eat some humble pie. Well, guess what? In a primary, those 30%, they're going to vote for my opponents. Okay?
Probably.
Period. And good for them. They've got their brand of a wishy-washy, squishy Republican, and good for me, because there ain't nothing wishy-washy about me. Yeah. What else you got?
Well, it's not what else I have. What else I'm going to throw out at you is basically your campaign manager is...
Rory McShane.
Yep.
He's
Controversial.
Perfect for me.
Okay.
Perfect
You have controversies with Bundy. You have controversies with
Wait,
Seaman.
Wait. Let's go back.
Okay.
Controversies with Bundy. Let's clarify that for a minute. We won.
Yeah,
We won.
No, I know you.
There ain't no controversy. You ready?
But here's where this is all going, though.
Yeah, but no, you got to clarify. Listen,
Okay.
This is your show, but the bottom line is we won.
Yes.
And what happened?
They released it.
They released them. And let me tell you something about those Cowboys. Okay.
Oh,
You
I
know what
supported them
was
100%.
Do you know what was in those saddlebags on those horses? Not guns, Bibles.
Yeah.
Bibles. No one wants to talk about it.
Right.
There was no guns in those boys' saddlebags on those horses. They were Bibles.
Which was really kind of weird because most Nevadans supported them.
Of course they did.
It wasn't necessarily.
Of course they
but
did.
But this is where this is all going.
Mhm.
We've had, and I shared it with our last candidate that was here. We've had a huge influx of California people that have moved to the state of Nevada.
Mhm.
Okay, with their politics.
Mhm.
Okay, which is the woke crowd. The bring California.
Yeah, they vote Democrat.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're not.
So how are we
voting
going to?
primary.
Well, yeah, but shouldn't we tell these people to leave their politics at home and get on board with the politics that
You're
are
not
really
gonna
here in the
listen
state?
to us. Forget about it.
And we're going to
Listen,
end up with a state just like California.
hopefully not. Let me
Let's
tell you
hope.
something. Nevada is still the Wild West,
Yes, it is.
and don't ever underestimate the silent ones. Okay, that's what I'm going to tell you. The silent majority here in the state of Nevada will get Republicans elected in 2022. The woke, you know what President Trump said about woke?
Which part of it? You
I
said a
know.
lot about woke.
Yeah, he used the S word. He
Right.
said
Oh, yeah.
woke is,
Right.
okay? And I concur. So, no, I really have so much faith in the silent majority. And when I say the silent majority, do you think that Democrats are okay with their kids having masks taped to their face? Do you think that Democrats are okay with being unemployed and having an antiquated unemployment system where our servers are in another state, not get paid for 6 to 8 months? Do you actually think that the Democrats, because my mom's one and she's heading up Democrats for Fiore, do you actually think that these Democrats are going to stay silent? So what's going to happen is we're going to have the JFK Democrats voting in the general and knocking Sisolak out.
So we had a state that was kind of really red, turning purple. In this last, election, we had basically the state turned blue. Okay, how do we turn that around?
Exactly what we're doing. Did you just see what happened in Virginia?
Yes,
did you see what happened in Jersey? Let me tell you something. My brother owns a restaurant in Smithtown in Wantagh, New York, Long Island. All the judges there went Republican. Okay, so I think the Biden administration, let's go Brandon, has shown their true colors, and we're wiping them out.
Well, we're going to continue doing that. I would agree with you on that because of the fact that, this country is heading in the wrong direction, and 73% of the country is saying the same thing.
Yes.
It's moving in the wrong direction.
Listen, when CNN and MSNBC says Biden has less than a 30% approval rating, now, and they lie, so it's probably more like 10% of the woke folks, because the JFK Democrats, the Blue Dog Democrats, they are not for Biden. They are not for all this woke stuff. They are for America, and they are turning. You think Virginia's governor took it with all Republicans? Those Democrats that are sick and tired of being told parents don't have a right to, what their children are being taught. Right. They're done.
So you had a recall that was that you were able to win. Okay.
Of course, because
you had controversy out at Tully Springs. Okay.
Yes, and let's talk about that. Let's just not say controversy. Let's talk about it. Okay. So I have a woke group that lives right behind, and literally, it's like Karen. When you look at the name Karen, and her name happens to be Karen. I had a Karen. Okay. I've got a fan.
Now we got a Brandon and a Karen.
I've got a Karen, right? So Karen and some of the other Democrats, they decided they were going to do a recall because we refurbished a historical barn.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Right. So listen, Karen, get a life.
Right.
Controversies. Good for me. Guess what?
That means you're doing something.
Yeah.
Right. That's exactly right.
That's exactly what that means. You're doing something. You're shaking it up, and people don't like to be shaken up.
That's where it gets back to the woke crowd and these whole, these people that think they know, they want to change, what's really working for us, into this, populist, woke crowd, whatever they want to call it nowadays. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see starting to happen here. And I just, being a longtime Nevadan, it's pissing me off. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we just have to take our state back and protect Nevadans and go from there. But let me tell you something. If you don't stand for something, and if you're running and you're a candidate and you're just going to be quiet because you're afraid to offend, don't run. Just get out of the race.
That's why I say I like the fire.
You want to pander? Get out of the race and get out of my way. Because I'm not pandering. I'm so excited about debates. I'm so excited to debate all the gentlemen because what they really better practice. What have they done? What have they done? Because I'm off the cuff, and so I'm excited.
Family court, and I'm sure you've seen what we've been doing with family court. There's a lot of things that because they say don't come with a problem without a solution.
That's correct.
Okay. So I have a solution to, I think, all of the problems that I could bring up. And one of the problems is that judges in general, judges, a lot of judges don't draw opponents because, the lawyers are saying, I have cases in front of the judge. If I run against the judge, I'm going to lose my case. That judge is friends with that judge. I got cases in front of that judge. This is how I make my livelihood. I can't run against the judge. So these corrupt judges stay for another 6 years. So I proposed a bill and it's called remove or retain. So if a judge, that's an incumbent, makes it to the general election, whether the judge wins a primary or the judge don't draw an opponent at all, makes it to the general election, the people could say remove or retain that judge. The name of the judge, remove or retain, is under the judge's name, and you pick a box, remove or retain. So if remove gets more votes than retain, that seat is vacated. Judicial Selection Committee picks, takes applications and sends 3 names to the governor. Mm-hmm. And the governor decides which one of the 3 names is going to fill that vacancy. What do you think about something like that? It came up in the last legislation, but it didn't make it because Brittany Miller killed it in committee.
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. We can't start appointing, okay? Because if we start appointing, then the people don't have a say in who gets elected. And when you start appointing, the administration changes, right? It could change every 4 or 8 years, right? Or in the assembly, 2 years, And if we have a very leftist administration, as we do right now, and if this governor was able to appoint 3 progressive, unconstitutional judges, he would. So things are set in place through our Nevada state constitution to make sure our folks here in Nevada have a voice.
Let me finish that. Whoever gets appointed has to run for retention in the next cycle.
So we have to deal with 6 years of either liberal, no. I love you, Steve, but
this gives an opportunity to remove that corrupt judge off the bench.
Can you put term limits on the judges?
No, it runs in the next election cycle. So if the next election cycle is 2 years from now, it's not going to be the 6 years.
But what if it's 6?
It won't be. It'll be the next election cycle because election cycle is every 2 years.
Yeah.
22, so 24, again, 26, 28.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah. It's a slippery slope when you start thinking about taking the authority away from the people to elect versus to appoint.
Well, we're giving the people the authority to remove this corrupt judge.
The people can do that today with a recall.
No, there's no recall. You can't recall judges. There's no term limits for judges. The Supreme Court passed down that you can't recall judges after the Catherine Ramsey North Las Vegas case. Remember that one?
Wow.
You can't recall judges. There's no term limits for judges, and judges have judicial immunity. And if you want to get rid of a judge, you actually use.
So do prosecutors.
You have to use the Judicial Selection Committee. I mean, Judicial Disciplinary Committee, which is a farce all by itself. So the only way to get rid of them is at the ballot booth.
Yeah, I think you're going to be in the governor's office with me talking about this and talking to our legal staff. But again, I am for elections. I'm not for appointments.
Oh, I'm for elections too. Yeah, but if that's how we remove this corrupt judge, then I'm all for it.
Well, there are sanctions. There are also sanctions. I mean, if a judge is, doing something horrifically, against the law, against, you know what I mean?
I got a judge that bankruptcy fraud, mortgage fraud, and perjury, all the evidence in the world, showed to the Attorney General. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Okay. Well, we really have to look at that
because I even gave that judge to the Metro's public corruption unit. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. They just leave that judge on the bench. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm just looking for ways that we could use the system to remove bad judges from the bench, especially in family court, because family court is it shouldn't be discretion anymore. They should be able to follow the law, which they don't do, and which causes corruption. These judges bring their bias and discretion to the bench, and they're not following the law.
Judges.
I don't know. Here's another thing. We also have some good judges too.
We do.
We really do. And I'm going to tell you, I'll use the Bundys as a perfect example, right? Judge Navarro was the judge in that case here.
Do it all out.
Judge Navarro, I have to understand, we went through this for 2 years, right?
Right.
And in the beginning, I saw in her eyes, I watched this judge, and first of all, she was amazing. But in the beginning, she had full faith. What I saw in her eyes is she had full faith in the prosecutorial attorneys, right? I believe in my heart that in the beginning, she believed that they were telling the truth, right? And when she found out, when she figured it out, she was the fairest judge of them all, you know, and I have to thank her for that.
No,
And
you did a
so
good job on that.
there are many judges that I know that are very fair. And most of all the judges I do know, you know, we have our city judges too. I'm fortunate to be surrounded by good judges. So I don't know if you got a bad one or maybe one or two, but there's always a bad apple in the bunch.
So 3 most important issues for you.
Giving Nevadans back their state,
Okay.
making it whole again.
And how you plan on doing that?
Well, number one, making sure that with the vaccine mandates, we literally, just so you know, it's not even, first of all, I'm vaccinated. Let me be clear.
vaccinated.
I'm vaccinated.
Yes.
I'll get the booster.
But it should be a
I
choice.
am not, it's a choice.
Right.
What has been destroying our state and our Nevadans is them losing their jobs if they don't get vaccinated.
Right.
Like
Mandates.
Joe Lombardo, sorry, you're mandating our young new officers, you know, to get vaccinated. Well, I guarantee you in the next month or so, he might be retracting because I'm kicking his butt on it because it is not okay. So if you don't get vaccinated, you don't get to be a police officer. If you don't get vaccinated, you get fired from our universities
Right.
here. If you don't get
Can't even go to
vaccinated,
school there.
you get fired from hospitals here.
Yep.
If you don't get vaccinated, you can't even go to school.
That's what I say. You can't
cannot
even go to school here. You have to
cannot
do
go to
online
school.
classes.
Even online, you have to be vaccinated to do online classes. Okay?
I don't think that's the case.
No,
because-
I am. I'm a UNLV student
Okay.
today. I am a UNLV student today. My spring classes, I had to show my card
Right.
in order to sign up for my spring classes. So yes, I am online student. I am not in-person student. As a student, you have to be vaccinated, period. That is not a guess. That is true. I'm vaccinated.
I
I'm a
heard
student.
this story a little bit. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, are you a student?
I'm one past that.
Yeah, well, I am right now.
Okay.
I just did 2 exams last night till midnight. Okay. So when I tell you that I had to literally send in my vaccine card, I did.
But are you going to be on campus though?
No,
Okay. You're just going to strictly online.
I'm strictly online. I've never been on campus as a UNLV student.
Hmm.
Okay.
That's-
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And here, in order for me to even begin UNLV as a student online in the pandemic over a year ago, they needed my vaccine records. Now I'm over 50. Okay. I'm 51 years old. Okay. So I had to try to find my vaccine records for when I was a child. Well, I didn't have them, and the schools only keep them for 6 years. So then I had to go and get, it's called a titer test, a TITER, where they take your blood to see what antibodies you have from the measles, the mumps, polio, all that. So I was short 2 out of the 11. So I had to get my MMR shot at 50 years old to be able to be an online student. So understand, it's not in person.
How are you going to give somebody COVID online?
I don't know.
That's
Yeah.
going a little bit too far.
But I'm telling you, this is what I'm talking about vaccine mandates. It's not okay.
Right.
It's
I
not
agree.
okay.
I totally
It's
100%
not okay.
agree with
now,
you.
it is our choice, right? It's
Right.
my choice to go to school. It's my choice to obey, or it's my choice to leave and go and get an education somewhere else. I'm choosing to stay, so I'm going to, at the moment, until I'm governor and I remove all these mandates, get rid of them. The thing I feel saddest about is the employees.
All right.
The employees that aren't allowed to work without a vaccination card.
Agreed.
That's what I'm sad about, because now you are literally getting into a person's personal livelihood, and you can destroy them. And now all of a sudden they're going to get denied unemployment because, you know, they didn't follow it's such a ripple effect.
Well, not only that, you had a lot of these people that were on the front lines taking care of us when there was no vaccines.
That's right.
You know,
Well, here, let me go back. Our hospital nurses
right.
took care of COVID patients without being vaccinated. And now all of a sudden,
You want to fire them.
they have to get vaccinated
Yeah.
or they're fired.
Mhm.
It's really, it's not okay. It's not
No,
okay, you
it's
guys.
not.
I remember when you first announced you were running and you mentioned the platforms you're running for. You want to repeat the platforms and go into a little bit
Sure.
detail on why you
Absolutely.
feel a certain way?
Absolutely,
Sure.
absolutely. So we did a 3-shot plan just to, do quick and easy, aggressive, quick and easy. Number 1 was to end our vaccine mandates. Number 2 was to end critical race theory taught in our schools. And number 3 was to end voter fraud. So we already talked about vaccine mandates.
Right.
Let's talk about critical race theory.
Okay.
Critical race theory right now is being
Virginia
taught
race.
in our school, right? That basically is teaching everyone that America was built on racist, we were built on racism, right? And when I look at this and I think to myself, and number 1, you know how many times I've been called a racist? I mean, please. So I look at this and I think to myself, why aren't we teaching? First of all, we're a first world country, okay? We have so much slavery, child labor, human trafficking in so many countries, second, third world countries. We have little tiny kids that are kept enslaved in cages to shrimp for the shrimp that we're purchasing in our frozen department. Okay. That's, enslavement. We have child labor, enslavement, human trafficking. We have 5-year-olds mining for gold in other countries and they're making $3 a day. And here we are in America, the freest country of all. The freest country of all. No matter what you want to be here, you can be. Whether it's an astronaut, a transgender, whatever it is you want to be in America, you can be it. And we have, and you're talking about a few people running the show on teaching, constructing purposely to divide America on race. Critical race theory is nothing more than separating black and white, saying, you're black, I'm white, you should hate her because she's white, because she's privileged. And then I hear things like, oh, they don't even know they're privileged. We couldn't get loans on our house back in the 50s because the way it was written. And yes, maybe that's true.
Right.
We're in 2021 today. And I don't judge you by the color of your skin. And don't tell me I'm privileged. I've been a Nevadan for 30 years. I was born and raised in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. And, my family and friends, my mom's gay, my uncle's black. My other uncle is married to a black woman. We have black and Italian babies. And you call me a racist absolutely not. What we need is togetherness. What we need is love. What we need is to love one another. Because when push comes to shove, if you get hurt and you're black, yellow, red, purple, I don't care. Guess what? I have Rh negative O blood. I can save you. So my blood type can save any color. Okay. That's what we need to be looking at, not the color of our skin.
Yeah.
And
Bensonhurst, Bronx.
Yeah.
What's up?
Bensonhurst. Yeah. So, listen, I'm a girl from the hood, so bring it all day long. Don't ever call me a racist, right? So, yeah. So, and here's the thing. I have never forgotten my roots. I have never forgotten all the humble pie that I have eaten and still continue to eat, right? You think all these controversies don't come without scars. They sure do. But you have to have thick skin and you move forward and you don't let some jack off define you.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm saying too.
Yeah. So.
Well, there was the other one.
And voter fraud.
Voter fraud.
Let's talk about voter fraud.
Let's talk about
It's
that.
extremely important. And understand, a lot of folks will say, oh, the machines are rigged and this. I'm not even going there. What took place in the state of Nevada this past election cycle is horrific. We had over 50% of folks voting by mail that have never voted.
Correct.
In the state of Nevada. So I take care of my mom, who's 71 years old. She lives in my house. There's 2 adults that live in my house. She's a Democrat. I'm a Republican, so I get mail from everybody, right? We're the only 2. We got 5 mail-in ballots. 5, right? I hand-delivered the 3 back to the election department on Cheyenne and said, please get these folks off the voter rolls. And so this is the biggest part. Now, I also have a whistleblower that worked in the IT department that shut off the signatures at midnight. So the signatures were not verified. Secondly, the antiquated machine that they used to process all these thousands and thousands of mail-in ballots was only, first of all, it's very old. And it's literally only set for our normal absentee ballots. So when you look at all of the things that we are learning, and you look at all of the mail-in ballots that came in, none of the signatures were verified. And what's really great, Victor Jakes from the Review Journal signed 8 mail-in ballots, him and 8 voters, and they signed them all wrong, and they all got, and they were all counted, right? And he did a whole. You don't trust me, verify. Go to the Las Vegas Review Journal.
So you for voter ID then?
I'm for voter ID, and I'm for getting rid of the mail-in ballots. And that is how we will secure our elections. And let me tell you, voter ID, we tried in 13 and 15 when I was the Assemblywoman. And what the opposing sentence was is that we were suppressing voters, right? We were suppressing voters. First of all, you can't do anything without ID here. Period. You can't cash
a vaccine card too.
Yeah. And now you have to have a vaccine card, right? So you have to have a vaccine card, but you don't have to ID to vote. So so with the voter fraud that was rampant in this past election cycle, these are things that we need to stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot. How do you stand out?
Just start talking to her.
Besides being a woman, how do you stand out from your other opponents? What makes you? What are you going to do?
I knew that's the question you were going to ask.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
That's going to make Nevada a great place to live.
Let's just talk about the primary opponents, right?
Sure.
Let's talk about them. What do we have? We have Heller.
Okay.
Where was he going through the pandemic when me and Mayor Carolyn Goodman were fighting the governor? And he doesn't like Trump anyway, so he's a never Trumper. We have Joe Lombardo.
Why does Trump support him?
He doesn't support him. Why do you say Trump supports him?
Well,
Do
you remember when Danny Tarkanian was running against him, and then Danny Tarkanian pulled out of the race, and then went into the congressional race with
because he was asked to,
with Seaman? How did that? I thought they were cool.
You thought who was cool?
That Trump and Heller was cool. That's not true.
Listen, until Trump comes out, I'm not going to put words in Trump's mouth, period. But I'm just going to tell you, when we did our polls with Nevadans, the biggest problem with Dean is he's a never Trumper. That's not my words. That's Nevada Republican primary. This is Nevada Republican primary voter, period. Okay. Then you've got Joe, whole slew of problems. And he's going to spend $10 million in this primary. You can't buy the seat, right? So what has Joe got? He's got problems with the Second Amendment. His first page of his website is trying to explain all that away. He's got problems with October 1st. He's got problems with hugging and kissing Steve Sisolak. That's a big problem. Okay, that's one of his biggest problems.
Some say he was put in that race to...
I've heard that.
Yeah,
right? But if you know
to get
Joe,
Sisolak reelected.
If you know Joe, his ego is like, I don't know, so big that I can't see him doing that.
What about problems with ICE and the
problems with that? You've got this. There's so many here. Listen, there's so many problems with this guy.
I'm still not convinced he's a Republican, though.
Right. Well, he's registered.
Okay.
He's registered a Republican.
Okay.
Right.
And keep going.
Yeah. And then who do we have? We have an attorney up north, right? What's his name? What's the attorney up north?
John Lee? No,
we're going to talk about John, right? The attorney up north. Anyway, I think his name is Joey something.
Toby Gilbert.
Yeah, there we go. So you got an attorney up north, which is so great. I have a tweet as I'm battling as the Assemblywoman in 2015 against Brian Sandoval's tax. This moron tweets, "What a nut job this lady is. She's fighting Sandoval against the tax." Oh, okay. So listen, Mr. One Trick Pony, you are running saying vaccines are going to kill you, but you want to raise people's taxes? Yeah, I'm sorry. Just get out of the race. That's that one. Then we've got Mayor John Lee, the Democrat, right? Mayor John Lee, right? The Democrat who didn't have Democrat testicles to stay as a Democrat and run in the primary against Sisolak. No. He's gonna switch his party, right? And run, right? And run.
Did you send him a skirt?
Right, exactly. and run as a Republican. He's not going to get more than 2% of the vote. And, you know, and let me tell you something. When I have folks like that attacking me, right, saying stuff about FBI this, FBI that, why don't we talk about his child pornography with the FBI? Huh? Let's talk about that. I mean, so these boys have no idea when you shoot a fire or when you shoot a shot across the bow at me, we are fully loaded and ready. So, and then, I don't know, you got some other folks, they might be nice guys, but you can't buy the seat. You can't buy the Nevada governor seat. And that's it, you know, and that's it. So you're either going to show Nevadans that you are a Nevada and a Nevadan with them and fight with them and for them, which I have. The greatest thing about my voting record and my record with the people is Nevadans know if they want someone in the foxhole with them, they'll call me because I ain't running. I'm going to stand there with you against the bad guys. And I've proven that.
So let's say you become the Republican nominee for Nevada governor.
Mm-hmm.
The general election.
What about it?
How do you plan to defeat Governor Sisolak?
Governor Sisolak?
He'll beat himself.
He'll beat himself. What do I have to? We have a governor in the office that's a telemarketer that used to rob senior citizens that got his money from suing the county. Hello? This is a governor who marched with Black Lives Matter against our cops?
He is the worst governor we've ever had.
Who wouldn't shake a military man's hands on base, okay? Let me tell you something. You know how I feel about our military. You know how I feel about our law and order. You know how I feel about our cops. And this governor spit in the face of cops, spit in the face of our soldiers in uniform, refused to shake a colonel's hand. This guy has shot himself in the foot. There's no recovering. He's out.
You know what? And I could concur because I tried to reach out to his office several times. I haven't even got a return phone call. And I've known Steve Sisolak, I think before he was regent. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't have the common courtesy to call me back. So I thought that was unbecoming. But what are you going to do as governor? What are you going to do for our veterans? Because there's about 339,000 of them.
I'm going to let the veterans dictate what they need and have it gone. Do you understand? Like, as a veteran, your voices need to be heard. What is it that Nevada is not doing for you? Because I'm going to tell you, all of our veterans literally wrote a check with no amount. The amount was their life. When they said, I'm going to serve the United States, I'm going to serve Nevada, I'm going to serve my people, they wrote a blank check of their life for us. So in the state of Nevada, our veterans have a blank check from the governor's office to them, from me.
What do you say to people that says Michele Fiore is unstable, she's a little nut job? What do you say to those folks? Because hey, don't get it wrong, because they say the same about me too. So
listen,
what do you say to those folks?
I still say that about you.
Yeah. Well, tell me which part of unstable.
Okay.
Oh, really? Am I nuts about protecting you? Am I nuts about not having our businesses go under because of the taxation? Am I nuts about protecting your Second Amendment? You know why they say I'm nuts? Because I have a big voice.
Because they want to isolate and discredit.
Well,
that's what they try to do when they say that. They try to isolate and discredit.
Those folks are woke POSs.
Okay.
Woke POS, period. If they cannot have a logical conversation with me and talk about policy versus personality, they are brainless. Sorry. You talk to me about policy all day long. You talk to me about our NRS statutes. You talk to me about law. Don't talk to me, you don't like my hair, you don't like my boo. Who cares? You talk to me about policy. Don't talk to me about my personality or my red lipstick. You talk to me as an adult.
Talking about your personality.
Be a grown-up. Be a grown-up, okay? If you can't be a grown-up and talk about policy and you want to attack my personality, that's what I got to say to you.
Sometimes the personality is what makes who you are, though.
Yeah.
Who's on your committee list
For
governor?
when
Yeah,
you say on my committee list?
Like they got this attorney, that attorney, this attorney. You know how when judges have a fundraiser, they have this committee list and they have all these people underneath.
Remember I talked to you about the silent majority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me tell you what happens here. Okay, I'll use a person that I know that got totally scrutinized by Steve Sisolak. One of Steve Sisolak's previous supporters, and I'm talking $1 million check, okay? So I'm not going to say his name, but you can figure it out. So this guy, once upon a time, wrote Steve Sisolak a couple $1 million for his first race, right? Well, when that happens, Steve changes his number and doesn't return, donors' calls and, doesn't do this.
Exactly.
So now, this particular donor wrote a $1 million check to Joe, right? And Steve found out. What did Steve Sisolak do? What are you doing writing a check? And calling, right? So I'm not going to put my supporters, I'm not putting my supporters at risk for Steve to do damage to them with their business. Listen, they write a check, we spend whatever, right? Everything is on the C&Es, everything is legit, legal, but I am not going to put a lot of folks' names because there's a lot of, so Joe jumped in the race a while ago. Do you know how many of my supporters had written Joe a check just to get rid of Steve Sisolak? Yesterday I got yelled at. Why didn't you give me a hint? I can't stand Joe, but he was my only option. And I'm like, well, write a check, buddy. Write a check because I'm your option now. And he did. I just picked up a $10,000 check from him.
Good for you.
And, so understand, when people didn't think they had an option, they were going with that, but I'm changing that quickly.
Well, I like your energy.
Yeah.
I like your tenacity.
I like the firebrand. When I saw it firebrand in the commercial, I was like, well, of course she is. What do you expect?
That's what we need. We need trees uprooted instead of shaken.
Yeah.
But Fred, do you have anything else for Miss Fiore?
No, I think we've covered it all.
Okay. You got it?
He'll all come out in the wash.
It'll come
Let me
out in
tell
the wash.
you, my mama told me, period. What doesn't come out in the wash will come out in the rinse.
Exactly.
I'm 51 years old, and it all comes out.
Truth always comes out.
And I have a sign in my office that I literally made myself when I first got elected as the Assemblywoman.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, Psst, there are no secrets in politics. There are none. There are no secrets in politics. So who I am. Mm-hmm. Like me, love me. I will fight for you. I will protect you. And that's it. And I have more guts than any of my opponents.
Well, Michele Fiore, Councilwoman Fiore,
Thank you.
National Committee Woman Fiore.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been an inspiration
Yeah.
and an eye-opening,
Thank you.
and I like it.
Thank you.
Could you look into the camera and tell folks why? And Mark is going to zoom in on you. Tell
Yes.
folks why they should vote for you
Yes.
and make you Nevada's, was it a female governor years ago?
No.
Or would you be the first? Be the first female governor for the state of Nevada and turn Nevada red.
Thank
Your
you.
point of contact, please.
Thank you. So thank you so much for watching us here on Veterans in Politics. My name is Michele Fiore, and that's Fiore. You can go to my website at votefiore.com, and you can volunteer there. You can donate there. We are working on raising a lot of money. Our opponents will definitely have to spend twice and triple on what we'll spend. But I would really appreciate your vote. You know my history, you know my voting record, and you know my fight for you, for Nevadans. And I will always stand with you against whatever it is. So thank you so much for tuning in to us. And I hope to see you on the campaign trail. We are dialing for dollars and dialing for votes. So if you want to come and help me, please do. Thank you. Yep, it's votefiore.com. MicheleFiore.com. Michele, we spell it with one L, so it's Michele. My father was Giovanni Michele, that's how it's spelled. And so it's Michele with one L, Fiore.com.
Thank you so much, Michele Fiore. Thank you so much, Fred Adams, for being the special co-host.
Pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Thank
you, gentlemen.
Folks, that's Michele Fiore. She is the city councilwoman for the city of Las Vegas, the Republican National Committee woman, and the gubernatorial candidate for this great state of Nevada. This is Steve Sanson, Fred Adams of Veterans in Politics. Until next time.